Hello, my name is Kenneth, and I'm going to talk about why some antipsychotic medicines lose effectiveness with time. Antipsychotics have improved over the years. When I first got schizophrenia, the antipsychotics were called major tranquilizers. These had names like Haldol, Navane, uh, Perlixin, Orap, Serential, Thorazine, and others. These medicines were highly sedative and had serious side effects like tremors and tardive dyskinesia. Uh, I remember other patients talked about being doped up, and you know, medicines like Thorazine, you can get a high dose of that, and you would be out for 12 hours. They also had serious side effects, like tremors in the hands and the legs, and tardive dyskinesia. It is said that these medicines, as they were, are successful with 70% of the patients. They weren't successful with me. Uh, uh, but they were successful with some people. You can take, for example, the lawyer that has YouTube videos named Ellen Sachs. She has schizophrenia, and she's a law professor at, I believe, the University of California. And she took these medicines. So, as they say, different medicines work differently on different people. In the 90s came a new set of antipsychotics called the atypical antipsychotics. These included Zyprexa, clozapine, Risperdal, Seroquel, Ziprasidone, and Abilify, among others. These new medicines were expected to provide less side effects and more effective treatment of symptoms. My first success story came with a medicine called Seroquel. Within a few days of taking Seroquel, my behavior changed dramatically. Instead of sitting all day watching TV and smoking, I was doing things. Instead of sleeping late in the morning, I would get up at 5 a.m. and exercise. After that, I would read books and work on projects. I was thinking about starting my own business. I always liked to paint, and I started painting. I would paint in watercolors, and I would do lots of sketches and lots of paintings. I also like to play the clarinet, and I started practicing the clarinet. I was doing all the things I always wanted to do while I was sick, and I couldn't do them. I was doing so many things that I had to set up a schedule for myself during the day. Recall before Seroquel, I did nothing but smoke all day and watch TV. This went on for 2 years. And after the 2 years, my symptoms started to come back. My lack of motivation symptoms started to come back. And I started being frustrated because I couldn't do anything. Why did this happen? One could suppose that the brain gradually adjusted to the medicine, Seroquel, but how? I understand that psychiatric symptoms are categorized into positive and negative symptoms. Now, positive and negative symptoms are both bad symptoms, but this is how psychiatrists categorize the symptoms. Voices are positive symptoms. Lack of motivation is a negative symptom. Voices are positive symptoms because they are something that was added to your experience where when you were normal, you didn't have it. And lack of motivation is a negative symptom because your ability to motivate yourself is taken away and subtracted. So it's a negative symptom. It is said that positive symptoms are easier to treat than negative symptoms. Also, treatment of positive symptoms lasts much longer than negative symptoms. I know this from experience. I've been on the same medicine Invega for voices for 11 years, and it still works fine. But the medicines that I've tried for motivation are usually effective for somewhere between 3 weeks and 4 months. Why is this? I suspect the difference between successful treatment of voices and motivation is because these two symptoms arise in different parts of the brain. The symptoms of voices arise in a more flexible, easily changed part of the brain, whereas lack of motivation arises in a more fundamental, inflexible part of the brain. The neurons that control auditory hallucinations are easily changed so that when treated, the voices go away more and they stay away much longer. When the disease first entered the body by organism or genetically, it changed the fundamental structure of all the neurons in the brain. So when the symptoms are treated with antipsychotics that mainly change the synapse, the altered neurons from the disease will naturally try to change the synapse back to the untreated state, and the symptoms come back. How do you resolve this problem? Instead of trying to balance the chemicals in the synapse, maybe the biochemist should work on the neurons themselves, since they are the source of the problem. Well, that's what I wanted to say about this matter. It's a very frustrating area of my life because I like to be motivated. But I have done some things, since I've been sick. I have some apps on the App Store, and I still like to paint, but I'm not operating at my full potential. And my sleep patterns are way out of whack. And I've heard that problem with sleep patterns with other people I've seen on YouTube that have schizophrenia. There was one woman who titled a YouTube video, "Oh Ye Insomniacs." Well, that's all I have to say for today. I hope you're feeling good today, and I hope tomorrow is even better. Goodbye.